We're sowing tomatoes and peppers today on Pots and Trowels, and that's brought to you with the support of King Seeds and Cobra Garden. Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels. Well, I'm going to be doing a little bit of seed sowing in the greenhouse today. Here we are now, third week in February, so far too cold and too early for us to be sowing outside, but I can get a little bit of a head start with things like tomatoes and peppers that benefit from a slightly longer growing season. But there's still plenty of time. Don't think you've got to rush out and do it. You can be sowing your tomatoes, peppers right the way through to March and even into April, and you'll still get some great plants and success with them. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be using a new compost to sow them in, and this has been sent to us by Kings. This is their seed and cutting compost, and believe it or not, in this package here we've got the makings of 15 litres of compost. It's Coir based, and I'll take the outer off. It comes like this. It's Coir, fine, and Kings have had great success with it when they've been trying it, and comes in a bag like this. And what we're going to do is pour 5 litres of lukewarm water into this solid block of coir that's all been milled and processed. Leave it for 10 minutes, probably have a cup of tea, and then when it's ready we can start and sow the pots of seeds. So here's my water. So I'm going to just very carefully pour that in, and it will absorb it. Well, 1 cup of tea later, it's expanded into this very friable compost, and it was a solid block, but it now breaks up very, very easily, as you can see. So we've got 15 litres of seed and cutting compost there. So let's have a look at it in a pot. So what I'm going to do is just sow some peppers and tomatoes today. We've already done videos on sowing tomatoes, so if you want a bit more in depth of that, then please have a look on YouTube. I'm going to sow in a small pot. So what you do need to do is loosen this up because it is compacted at the base, and it will now keep like this obviously for a while. You don't need to use it straight away. So what I'm going to do is just get a bit of this compost onto the bench, and we can see that it is nice and fine. And I'm going to fill my pot so it's loose compost, and then give it a tap down. I like it to be level when I'm sowing. I know some people don't do this, and it is only very, very lightly just touching it down. I've not compressed it. It's still nice and open and spongy, but it just gives me a level surface to sow the seeds on. And I'm going to sow this one. These are some of the peppers and the tomatoes that I'm sowing this year. I'm trying this lovely honeycomb one, which is a cherry, which is delicious. And this one for the first time, Buffalo Steak F1, which is going to produce some whoppers, hopefully. And this is a red pepper that is a sweet pepper. So just get the seed out. And I'm not going to sow them all. I don't know how many there are in this packet of seed, but if we keep them cool, they will save for next year as well, because we only need probably 3 plants. Just wipe my fingers, and you can almost place these individually, and they're good ones to show because you can see them on the surface of the compost there. If they all germinate, I always give them away to people anyway. I think that's the good thing about growing from seed. All the spare seedlings, they'll always find a good home. So I might just put a couple more in. So I know a couple of people that like peppers. So roughly space them so they've all got an even amount of compost to grow, like that. And then literally, you could use a little riddle, but it's so fine. I'm just going to get a little bit of this, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on because it is really light and fluffy. Now, on the instructions, normally at this point I would water, but the instructions say because you've just made this up and it's got so much moisture in it, then don't worry. So I'm putting about maybe 1/2 centimetre of compost on the top, and then the all-important label, which I've already written. and then that is it. So that now needs some warmth. For tomatoes and for peppers to germinate, they need about 18 to 20 degrees centigrade to germinate. So I'm going to put them in the propagator over there. Right, so my little propagating area just here. So this is my homemade propagator, which is just a wooden box with soil warming cables in sand, and that gives a little bit of base heat, and this just gives that little protection for cuttings and seedlings. Not everybody wants to do that. This is the sort of thing you could use not only in a greenhouse, but you could use it in a conservatory or a porch, or if you've got a wide windowsill, and they make these in various widths. This has been sent to me by Kings to try, this propagator. So if I take the lid off, it's really, really good because it comes in various parts. So you've got the heat tray, heat comes from the base just here, and that is cozy warm when I put my hand in it. So there's an element in there, and this tray then is what you put your pots in. And then with the thermostat here, now it's cooling down because I've taken the lid off, but this is the thermostat, and we can preset that. So I've set this to 18 centigrade, and this is the little probe here which just tests the air. And I tried it last night with a maximum minimum thermometer, and it was spot on. So I've already done a little bit of sowing here of various bits and bobs. So I've got my peppers here. So literally stand them on the base, which is warm. I'm not watering them. What I might just do is occasionally give them a mist with a little bit of water, just to keep that moist. Coir dries out on the surface, but often there is moisture below, so don't overwater. You know, I can tell by the weight of that there's some moisture in it. So don't overwater, let those roots grow down, and we'll see how it goes. So I can pop that lid on there, and then hopefully in about, I don't know, less than 2 weeks, we should have some pepper seedlings. So we'll come back and look at it in a few weeks' time. Well, thank you for watching Pots and Trowels, and happy sowing. Don't forget all the videos we've done in the past you can find on YouTube, and also you can find our weekly podcast that goes out every Sunday morning. Next week, I'm going to be in the fruit plot tidying the strawberry bed. So join me then. Bye.